Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Al Getler here. Welcome back to LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. Good to be here today. I've got an old friend joining us in a few minutes. It's been a while since I've been back, and actually, we're going to pick up the frequency in the next few weeks here because we've got a really, really good topic to talk about today. So, talking to you from Vermont, getting ready for another big snowstorm tonight. I'm going to hit the road and get ready for what I have to do tomorrow early. But before I just kind of go on and on, let me bring in our guest. Our guest is Tim Krall. Tim has been with me before. In fact, he was just in the promo reel when it started. And we're going to be talking about something pretty interesting. But before we do that, let's talk to Tim and catch up with him and see what he's been up to. Hey, Tim.
Hey. So when you say an old friend, I was kind of like, okay, does that mean I'm old or does that mean we've just been friends a long time? I'm not quite sure.
The answer to that is yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Man, so, Tim, you have been on an amazing adventure here. I should have probably grabbed some screenshots. I didn't do that. But tell us what you've been up to with your son. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, so I actually, you got different seasons in life, right? So I have to call last year, the year 2020. I'm sorry, 2021. Most people are like, oh, it's all about COVID and all this stuff. For me, it was totally different. That year, 2021, was all about Lego. So my son and I were actually contestants on Lego Masters. It's season 2. It was a phenomenal experience. It gave myself the chance because my son was graduating out of high school at that point. It gave us a chance to be able to really see, and I saw and watched him as he became a man, really. So we were 3 weeks together doing the recording. We were down in Atlanta doing that, and then now it's aired out. I think the last episode aired, man, time passes so fast, but I think it was around November-ish or maybe September. I forget now. Yeah. But anyway, it all aired out. So it's all on Hulu now if you want to watch the Lego Masters season 2. Now we've got word they actually re-upped Lego Masters. So there's a new season coming out. So that's kind of exciting to be able to watch some new contestants and see some new builds that are going to be coming out here. If it goes according to plan, I think usually they're just about ready to start recording. So we don't know any of that for sure. We're just kind of like, we think maybe that's what's going on.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah. Well, and I, when I first mentioned to my family you were going to be on, my daughter and my son-in-law are giant fans. So they were really excited. And then as I mentioned to other people, it's kind of funny how it rolls out that people are giant fans of the show. So that's amazing.
Well, it's definitely, and I don't remember what the viewership was. It wasn't huge when it was live, but we've got a massive, massive viewership on all of the recordings. And people, they keep going back and they keep watching. I have kids. We actually opened a Lego type store here in our local city as a partnership, and this is all coming out of that. And my son is my partner there for that Lego store. Anyway, we have people come in and they say that they always are going back and watching it because they just love seeing the creativity and the builds. And it's such a family show. We don't really get into a lot of drama with the other contestants, and it's something that's very wholesome, so you can watch it with the entire family.
Right. So if you're in the UP of Michigan.
Well, not quite the UP. We're just under the bridge. We're considered.
Yeah, but that's what most people know it as. So, yeah. If you're heading up that part of Michigan, which, by the way, I've mentioned to you is just absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous. So.
Well, unfortunately, right now I'm looking out the window here, and it's pretty freaking cold. It was
no, I know it's the same here, but still, it's just pretty gorgeous. So,
yeah.
Listen, we're going to keep it tight today, and let this video go out and do what you just said about Lego Masters. Soak up a bit. We're going to talk about a list of characteristics for leaders, and this caught my attention. A contact of mine on LinkedIn posted this, and I reposted it. You saw it. You commented. And I said, wow, wouldn't this be a great discussion point? Now, we're not going to discuss all these points today, but we are going to take a look at the list and we are going to tee up the ball because we want to come back in subsequent weeks and talk about each of these characteristics and then bring on some other guests as well, including, we're hoping, some of the Gallup people who have done some of the Strength Finder studies and talk about some of these characteristics. And I'm on the hot trail for that as well. Hopefully I'd get that nailed down. But Tim, why did this list catch your attention? What is it that grabbed you when I posted it?
Oh, man. So there's so many aspects of this leadership component. I've been teaching leadership. I've certified as a kid lead trainer. I've got a master's degree in leadership. And the crazy thing that I see in this is that so many times we have a lot of strategy. We have a lot of theory. We have a lot of different pieces and parts that are out there, but there's like this gap, right? There's this gap between the implementation and how we actually process the leadership information.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes we don't know how to bridge that, right? So
Right,
when we're
right.
looking at that list, I mean, the very first one that's on there is called positive energy. A leader has positive energy. And what captured my mind the most in this is the fact of, okay, this is an awesome list. But then let's actually dive in and say, okay, how do you actually show positive energy? The next one is you truly value each of their team members. Well, how do you do that? You know, like we're not often taught the how of it. We're taught the what, we're taught the strategy, we're taught all of these theories, but we forget about the how. And I'm as we talk about these things, I'm really hopeful that we can dive into more of the how and the practical aspects of it. But the list starts us with, yeah, these are exactly what we need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, those of us that have been in leadership positions and have seen both good leaders and bad leaders really realize how important a list like this really is. So, but just keep it going down, a clear vision for the future. And that's a lot of what you do with your business, right? I mean, you're a strategy guy.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And so and that's what's so cool about Lego. I mean, like I've got Lego all over the place here on my desk, and you can see it behind me. And if you get the big screen, you actually see I got piles of Lego here because I'm sorting. But the interesting thing is that this is a tool that we can use to be able to teach leadership concepts, right? So often we have, it's that academia where they've actually gone into just a teaching and a talking head, and we don't have any practical applications. I just led a leadership team it was a one-day training thing where we actually brought Lego in. We dumped them on a pile right in front of all of the everybody and said, okay, we're going to divide you up into 2 teams and we're going to give you a challenge. You're going to have to build through it. The pressure, the communication, the teamwork, all of that is leadership. And so by putting things into an actual challenge, it gave people the opportunity to learn how and see firsthand the whole aspect of, okay, well, how do I see the individuality and how do I value each team member? How do I have positive energy? Because when you've got the pressure, just like we were on Lego Masters, we've got a time limit. We've got a very specific theme we have to build. And I bring that into the real world of the business. And you do this with your employees or you do it with your team members, your leadership team members. Man, it's like real time, practical application of how to lead.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know there've been devices over the years we've used, but Lego is certainly something everybody knows. So what a great way to kind of draw people in for that. So when you look at this list, Tim, as we kind of go down, they listen, they communicate effectively, obviously extremely important. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, which I, constantly had to remind myself was a leader, do more listening than talking.
Yeah.
Those
two right there, I'm just like, man, we could have an entire conversation just on this listening and communicating effectively.
Well, we will. I mean, we absolutely will.
Exactly. Because, as we look at it and we think about it, listening, we listen to respond. We don't listen to understand. And that's the vast majority. Communicating, I believe it was Johan has said this, a teacher has not taught or a leader has not led until they actually have the student understanding and acting upon which they have been showed, taught, explained or whatever. So anyway, it's how much time do we have?
No, I mean, I know that's the thing. It's just going to unearth all these things that we both know and have heard. And it's interesting. I was listening to an episode of How I Built This yesterday, and just an amazing discussion about this. And the guest was I'm trying to grab his name right now, and I'm not grabbing it, but he was the guy that went from Callaway golf clubs to TaylorMade golf clubs, which was owned at the time by Adidas, then became the American president of Adidas, then tried to retire, and then he ended up becoming, the CEO of presently now Taco Bell. So kind of amazing, yeah. And for some reason, it's not sorting right, so I'm not able to grab his name, but it's certainly one I would listen to. But when you go by this list, you look at what he talks about, and it's all people stuff. Like he even says during the interview, they blocked him when he went from Callaway to TaylorMade to block him from the ingredients of a golf ball. And he said, look, I barely made it through high school. I can't tell you the ingredients of a golf ball. And so when you get down to that, right, it's the intelligence, it's the emotional intelligence, it's the people aspect that most really solid leaders have.
Yeah.
And when you look back at the list, I mean, this list, wouldn't you say is very, and I hate this term, Tim, I hate it. I hate the term soft skills. Talk about that for a second.
Well, okay, so let's look at that list. And when we look at it, I didn't count them exactly, but I would say it's about 50-50. And if you notice, about 50% of them are about something that's going on internally with you. Right. So are you authentic? Are you practicing humility and empathy? Are you passionate? But then there's also another 50% of them, which is about your relationship with that other individual, which again is the EQ, was what they call that.
Yeah.
And the social skills that you're developing. So are you listening? Are you communicating? Are you able to value those people on your team? And then that positive energy, it's kind of on both. I mean, that's something that's internal, but it has to be externalized in order for people. So you've got these soft skills that are both internal and external.
Yeah.
Both, what's your personal relationship like? What's going on inside?
Yeah.
And then what is your relationship with everybody else that's on the outside?
Yeah, no, I mean that's so true. And I actually misquoted too, because Guy Raz now has 2 shows. The other show is Wisdom from the Top, and the guy I'm talking about is Mark King, who's the president and CEO of Taco Bell. But when you go to this list and you hear Mark talk, it's a great episode. I'd recommend it to every leader, and not a person even not in a leadership position, to listen to, because it really gets on a lot of this. And I mean, one of the most authentic guys I think I've heard in a while, who's in the CEO position. Dropping down to number 11, Tim. This is one that I have seen so many leaders struggle with. First of all, some people just don't have a sense of humor, and especially when you get around people with certain backgrounds, certain educations, they're just, fun is not, like, you wouldn't think undertakers are really fun guys and gals, but they really are. They're actually very funny people, got to have a great sense of humor. So, but I'm likening this to at times when you have a leader who just doesn't have a sense of humor. Gosh, it just seems like it's death going into meetings with people like this and getting excited about anything. Talk a bit about the sense of humor thing, and we'll kind of wrap up and talk about what we're going to do next with this list.
Well, I feel like with the sense of humor thing, it's almost a pendulum swing. You've got people on the one side that have zero sense of humor, and then you've got people on the other side, which I believe it was Jim Rohn that quoted that one of the characteristics of a leader is to be humorous without folly. Like that whole kind of degenerate type humor, like that's not acceptable either, right? So there's this pendulum where you've got 2 sides of this, and the ideal point of a leader is to actually fall in the middle, is to be humorous without that folly aspect of it, right? But you have to have that humor, because so again, there's a lot of psychology and stuff, and I don't want to go too deep into that, but when you're talking about humor aspect, just the idea of how it affects your brain, and the chemical and the endorphins and things that it releases, to be able to just either release the stress, to be able to have a clearer mind, just because it just like all of a sudden takes you back, gives you a different perspective. The same thing with gratefulness. When you act and practice gratefulness, it changes the way you think. Same thing with physical contact. I mean, you can really have a tense situation. Somebody puts a hand on your shoulder, and suddenly it's like everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So there's that humor aspect of it, where you enjoy having a good time with people and you like hanging around with them. And then you have the opportunity to now teach or influence in a way that you would never have before.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I think, we're going to be coming back around to seeing each other face to face again in the world, and I think that while there's been predictions that we'll see a lot of people not come back, I think eventually, as social animals, we'll all end up back, with the team again. We have to figure out that whole interaction thing, that touch thing, all of that has certainly taken a beating over the last couple of years.
There's too much scientific evidence to not go back to it. I mean,
no, I agree.
Too much scientific evidence. We have to get back to it.
And the most fun that I have had, as when I say fun, not just the ha-ha fun, but the just like, wow, that was a great experience, is with leaders who have great senses of humor. The guy who I would call my mentor the most in life, in business, Harvard MBA guy, just about the most fun and caustic sense of humor that you're ever going to come across, and he just made everything fun. You said something before, which I think was interesting, when we talked about your Lego piece too. So many people in executive positions in the past, boomers, have been, slotting themselves as one person. And what I'm discovering even about myself is you don't have to be one person. You're not one person. You're the Lego master. As you know about me, I'm the puppet master.
Yeah.
And actually that's what I'm rushing to go off and do here and beat a snowstorm is get to one of the places that I perform. But, talk a bit about leaders really quickly, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Just about leaders that are dynamic, like, I'm not going to sound egotistical, but you and I are more than one person. A lot of leaders that I know are really way more than one person. They're pretty dynamic individuals. Why does that lend itself to strong leadership? Why does that lend itself to this list?
Oh, man, we only got a couple minutes. So let me just kind of summarize. And this is the hardest thing about it is I truly believe this. So when you go down, they have a sense of purpose. They have clear vision. They value people. The dynamicness of this is the fact that we may have, and if you've ever read the book Alter Ego, we may have different alter egos, but the sense of purpose is singular.
Mm-hmm.
There is a one singular purpose that drives dynamic leaders, and it shows up in different manners. So, for example, in my life, it shows up in where I go and I teach and I work with businesses, or I coach business owners, or I go and volunteer my time at the chamber, or we do a Lego event, or we do Lego build challenges. Like, it shows up, but my purpose is to leave an impact on people, to help them grow. And that's my purpose. So that singular purpose allows me to take on the different egos, which allows for different expressions of that leadership. And you're in the same exact position where you have a singular of purpose, but it shows up in different areas in different arenas, and it's okay to be that way.
Yeah. And I think that the most delightful leaders are the ones that show the many layers and the many people that they are, and they're not just one thing. And
it's part of that authenticity. That's on that list too. It's like being authentic, right?
Right. And I still hear a lot about people, feeling as if they have the imposter syndrome going on, and younger people as well. I always remind people, promote yourself to be a leader, promote yourself. On Friday, if you're a frontline worker with your friends, and on Monday, you're their boss and leader. Over the weekend, make time to promote yourself. Make time to understand that, yes, you are now in charge. You're not one of the gals and one of the guys, one of the people anymore. You are the leader. They look at you differently. Well, Tim, you and I are going to go offline here and figure out a calendar and post some of this. It is always a delight to talk to you because you have such great energy. Stick around backstage here, and we're going to announce when we'll be back. We're going to talk about this full list of the 11 characteristics of truly inspired leaders from a LinkedIn post that I did that I actually picked up from somebody else. And maybe we'll even invite that guy onto the show and find out why he posted it.
Yeah.
And I think that would be kind of interesting as well. So, Tim, you take care. We'll talk to you again really soon.
Yep.
Thanks. Well, always good to have my friend Tim on there. I want to remind you, go ahead and follow me and follow us and know when we're going to be around. On LinkedIn Live, on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live. As Tim mentioned about his own show with Lego, we know that we're going to find you guys on the repeats, on the replays, and we'll also spice this up and dice this up and get some clips out there. With that, thank you all very much for being here, and I'll see you again soon. Watch for notifications when we pick up this subject again here on Al Getler Live. Thanks.